Good afternoon. My name is Bintang Nadhiva B from the sixth group, and I'll explain about ethic in the workplace, social responsibility. In business ethic, there are first individual ethic, business and manager ethic, assessing ethical behavior, company practice, and business ethics. So the second one is social responsibility. Social responsibility refers to the entire effort taken by a firm strike to a balance between its responsibilities to important groups and individuals. There are the stakeholder model of responsibility, and the second one is and contemporary social conscious.
The third is area of social responsibility. There's a responsibility toward environment. It includes air pollution, water pollution, and land pollution. And then there's a responsibility toward customer. It includes fair price, customer rights, and ethic in advertising. And last is responsibility toward investor. It's about prohibited trading. So rules of trading is important to avoid inappropriate problems. The fourth is implementing social responsibility program. There are two parts of implementing social. There are two parts of implementing social. The first is approaches to social responsibility, and the second is social responsibility in the small business.
Next is point 2.5, social responsibility and the government. One of the most important elements of social responsibility is the relationship between government and businesses and organizations. How governments influence and organizations. Government can make an effort to influence by directly and indirectly. The regulation is the most common way in direct influence, and taxation policy is the most common way in indirectly influence. Next is how organization can influence the government. Just like the government, organizations also can influence the government. Businesses also affects the government, just like governments did to influence. Example, personal contacts, lobbying, and political action committees.
Okay, next we got point 2.6, managing social responsibility. First, we got formal organization dimensions. There is legal compliance determines how close an organization complies with local, state, federal, and international regulation. Second, we got ethical compliance. Ethical compliance measures how closely an organization's member following to fundamental moral principles. And the third one, we got philanthropic giving. It's like a charity and giving back to the others or giving back to the community.
6. Balance of payments. The balance of payments refers to the flow money into or out of a country. The money that the country pays for imports and receipts for export is balance of trade. Accounts for much of its balance accounts for much of its balance of payments. Other financial exchange are also factors. Money spent by tourists in a country. Money spent by a country on foreign aid. Programs and money exchange by buying and selling currency on international money markets affect the balance of payments. The the seventh point is employee behavior across culture. Managers in international business also have to understand that there are differences in what motivates people in different cultures. Although it is important to predict exactly how people from different cultures will react in the workplace, some insights have been developed from research on individual behaviors and attitudes across different cultures.
The next one is partnership. Advantage of partnership: the ability to grow with the addition of new talent and money. Few legal equipment and tax advantage are benefit of this form of ownership. So the next one is non-corporate business ownership. The first one is sole proprietorships, owned and usually operate by one person. About 74% of US businesses are sole proprietorships. So the next one we're gonna talk about cooperative. Cooperative combine the freedom of sole proprietorships with the financial power of corporation. This group of sole proprietorships common benefits They give members greater production power, greater marketing power, or both, though they are limited to serving the specific need of their members. Stock is held by only few people and is not available for sale to public in a closely held or private corporation. When shares are publicly issued, the firm becomes a publicly held or public corporation. The stock corporation is a hybrid of a private corporation and partnership. In a limited liability corporation, owners are taxed like partners, with each paying personal tax only. As the corporate entity comes into existence, it must be managed by people who understand the principle of corporate governance. Corporate governance defined by the firm's bylaws.
Okay, so we got to the next point. It's point 3.4. So there is some scenarios that can happen in the business world. So of course there is two. It's bad luck and the good luck. So the first one is reasons for the failure of the new entrepreneurship. So there is 4 reasons why most people will fail in their business. The first one is inexperience. Inexperience because that these people was just starting their business. And the second one is managerial incompetence. So they are not incompetent to do the business and they're starting to start their downfall, and it's one of the factors that why they fail. And then we got the weak control systems, and the last one is efficient capital. Okay, next one is reasons for the success in the entrepreneurship or business world. So there is 4 for why people will success in their business. First, it's hard work and drive and the dedication. And the second one, it's market demand of the products. Maybe their products will increase and the market will buy again, and the cycle will start. And the third one is managerial competence. So because of the business will, so the next is starting and operating a new business. To start a new business, you need to understand some steps that exist in the business thingy. First, you need to understanding the distinctive competences, like identifying niches in established markets and identifying new markets, first mover advantage, like that. And then the second one, we got the crafting a business plan. So you need to setting a goals and objectives to make your business. So there is no business without a goal and objective. And then the second one, we need to sales forecasting. And the third one, we need a financial planning. So it's kind of important to planning your financial of your company. Next one, we got to starting the small business that we are planning to be made. So you need to buy existing business and then franchising and starting from scratch, of course. So because you are new in the game. Next, you need to financing the small business. So there some steps need to be on financing the small business. It's like venture the capital companies, SBI financial programs, and the other source of financing. In July 2015, the United States officially restored diplomatic relations with Cuba after 50 years of hostility. The reopening of the borders creates a number of opportunities for the U.S. businesses. One of the most significant impact is the ability of the U.S. citizens to travel to Cuba. In the past, travel to Cuba was limited to certain of educational or humanitarian efforts. The impact of globalization doesn't stop with firms looking to open locations abroad or having to close locations that fail. Small firms with no international operations may still buy from international suppliers and even individual contractors, or self-employed people can affected by inflation in exchange rates. Indeed, international trade is becoming increasingly important to most nations and their businesses. Many countries that once followed strict policies to protect domestics business now encourage trade just aggressively.
Next one is the major world marketplaces. Managers involved with international business need a solid understanding of the global economy, including the major world marketplace. This section examines some fundamental economic distinction among countries based on wealth, and then looks at some of the major international marketplaces. The World Trade Organization, the General Agreement on Tariff and Trade, or GATT, was signed in 1947. Its purpose was to reduce and eliminate trade barriers such as tariff and quota. International trade. The global economy is essentially defined by international trade. International trade occurs when an exchange involving goods, services, and currency takes place across national boundaries. Although international trade has many advantages, it can also pose problem if a country imports and exports don't maintain an acceptable balance.
6. Balance of payments. The balance of payments refers to the flow money into or out of a country. The money that the country pays for imports and receipts for export is balance of trade. Accounts for much of its balance of payments. Other financial exchange are also factors. Money spent by tourists in a country. Money spent by a country on foreign aid. Programs and money exchange by buying and selling currency on international money markets affect the balance of payments. The seventh point is employee behavior across culture. Managers in international business also have to understand that there are differences in what motivates people in different cultures. Although it is important to predict exactly how people from different cultures will react in the workplace, some insights have been developed from research on individual behaviors and attitudes across different cultures.